Okay, so y'all have kind of gotten into a pattern and a rhythm of knowing that we're doing Christian worldview and we're talking about everything in terms of three trees. The three trees are naturalism, transcendentalism, Christianity, and we say that naturalism, that overarching tree, is everything that believes in a material world only, the material world only. Atheism. What are some of the fruits of naturalism? What kind of fruits would you pluck from the tree? You would only rely on your five senses. What other fruits would you pluck? What other big ideas would you be pulling from the naturalist tree? There is no atheism. You would pluck atheism from that. What else? Evolution would come quickly off. That would be a fruit. Lots and lots of fruit relating to evolution. What else? Hedonism. Good. So now we're getting into more detail. Hedonism because so the ancient hedonists, the Greeks would say, eat and drink and be merry. Why? For tomorrow you die. That's the great hedonist proverb, right? Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you die. You hear that all the time in this modern world, and you may not even be aware of it. I hear it a lot, especially from naturalists. What else? Give me some more fruit from the naturalist tree. Couple more at least. Think about the mental state of a human. Is a naturalist going to think highly of humans, lowly of humans? Lowly. Remember, the great heights of humanism was after the Enlightenment. It was in fact the stage of Enlightenment. The Enlightenment rode on the backs of the Protestant Reformation. Coming out of the 15 and 1600s, you had, and coming out of the Middle Ages, you had Christian theology was at its height. And Christians were understanding the Word of God better than they had in a long time. There were more scriptures being printed. There were more theologians, more pastors, more churches, more mission work, etc., etc., etc. Coming out of that, coming off that crest, we had humanism. Humanism really came into the fore in the 1700s. And under humanism, they thought that humanity was the height, replacing God. But guess what? Humanism was riding the wave of a great era of Christianity. But after humanism came what? Evolution and the natural order saying there is no God, the philosophies, the sciences, all saying that there is no God, and 200 years later, what do you get? Humans are high or low in society, culture, thinking, philosophy. Humans are what? High or low? Low. We no longer think of ourselves as grand. We no longer think of ourselves as great. We begin to think lowly of ourselves. Naturalism pushes down the human spirit. Now we try to fill that with lots and lots and lots of disposable distractions. But under naturalism, humans think lowly of themselves. Remember, in the naturalist tree, under the naturalist tree, what is a human? Same as an animal. You, in fact, are an animal. Right? And of course, under Christianity, what is man? Created in the image of God. Is that higher or lower? Higher than what the naturalist would say. It's not even any close comparison. Okay, so last week we were talking about the meaning. We were talking about biology, and last week I talked a lot about the origins of life. So we talked about what are the origins of life. Of course, Christians, we all say, what are the origins of life? All life, not just human life. God. And last week we also said that if you are going to claim that evolution begat life in 2024, you have a lot to prove. This is not the 1700s. This is not the 1800s. This is not even the 1900s. There's too much genetic evidence, DNA evidence, scientific evidence, biological evidence. There's too much evidence for people to continue to make the claims for long-form evolution that goes from chaos to order. So I encourage you to grab that handout. I encourage you to go on YouTube and watch that video if that interests you. Today we're going to ask the question, what is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of life? And this will wrap us up on biology. I have said this, so what is the meaning of life? Whereas we normally talk about naturalism and transcendentalism, and then Christianity, we're not going to talk about transcendentalism today. Do you have an idea why I'm not going to talk about transcendentalism today? This is the only time I'll talk about it. Why am I skipping it today on the meaning of life? I can think of two reasons why I'm skipping it. Can you think of reasons why I might skip it? They generally, their answer to the meaning of life is not at all compelling. It's not a compelling answer. And so I would spend a lot of time just saying something pretty simple over and over again. So it's not a very compelling answer. What else? Can you think? It's very similar to naturalism. We've said this before. Whether you believe in Buddhism, Hinduism, or even just New Age movements, your answer to the meaning of life is a lot like the naturalist answer to the meaning of life, which is we all started from nowhere, we live a human existence, and then when we die and cease, eventually somehow we all go back to nothing. And so whether you are a naturalist saying that you eventually become nothing, or whether you're a transcendentalist saying you eventually become nothing, that's not very interesting to me, right? So if you want to think about transcendentalism today while we go over naturalism, I would think a third reason is because most of us in the West, most people in the West have no faith and not all faith, right? Transcendentalism believes in everything. Naturalism believes in nothing. And I think most people in the West are increasingly believing in nothing. Okay? So that's why we're doing that. All right, so here's what I want to do today. I'm going to break us up into groups. This is actually going to be one of those days where we're going to do some discussion. Y'all all have your heads down intently, like some of you are just your body language is like, I'm not even sure I want to be here. So it's going to be a bad day for you because you're going to be in a group and you're going to be tasked with interacting and coming up with some answers. We're going to look at two statements from that. Let me go over it and then I'll break you up. We're going to look at two statements from naturalists, and I want you to engage with these are both quotes, right? First one's a quote from a fellow named Dr. Adam Rutherford. He's a geneticist. Second one is from a fellow named Alom Shalha. Forgive me for that. And he is an atheist and an author. So both of these quotes, your group, you're going to spend time looking at those, and you're going to be asking the questions. I didn't write these questions down because they're pretty basic. But listen to me. Look at me and listen to me. When you read these two quotes from these atheists, here's the kind of things I want you asking in the group. What does this person believe the meaning of life is? Are you with me? What does this person believe the meaning of life is? Right? I looked at a lot of atheist comments, statements of belief of the meaning of life this past week. A lot. And I've looked at a lot in my past. These are representative. These two statements are representative of what atheists say about the meaning of life. Not if you understand what I'm saying. These are representative. Thank you, Josh. You're the only one who did it. These statements are representative of what atheists believe about the meaning of life. So I want us to spend some time with them and then dissect them and try to understand, do they hold? Are they valid? Do they make sense? Are they rational? Do their arguments hold together? Do they break apart? I want you to talk about that. Then finally, and I'll make a statement about atheism in a minute. And then we're going to look at Christianity. And I want you to go to John 8, verses 1 through 11. And I did put down 3 questions for that to kind of walk you through the text. I want you to look at that text through the lens of how do Christians value human life? How do Christians look at the meaning of life? And of course, we're going to go to Christ for that. So, 2 statements from atheists, 1 text from the Scripture. So naturalism, then Christianity. And then we'll come back together at the end and I'll make a few final comments. Questions about what we're about to do? Any questions? Okay, this is a good group, so we're going to let that be a group. This can be a group, but I want one of the 3 sisters to come join this group. Do y'all want to join a group or be by yourselves? Do y'all want to join a group or be by yourselves? Join a group. Can y'all join this group as well? That'd be great. So if I could get the 2 of y'all plus a sister, and then the 3 in the back, and I can have a sister there. Does that make sense? So we'll have 3 groups. Okay? All right? Spend about 25 minutes. Spend about 25, 30 minutes. All right, let's start. I know that it is difficult to complete a task like go over these texts, go over this passage, go over these quotes in a limited amount of time. But as I walked group to group, it was clear to me that y'all had a real understanding of what the intent was. So let's go over this together briefly, and I want to hear from you. So remember, we want to compare naturalism to Christianity on the question, what is the meaning of life? Understand something. I did not bake the cake against atheists for this lecture. I have read much atheist literature. Let me ask you a question. What would you say the dominant worldview in pop culture right now is? The dominant worldview in pop culture. Think, nobody reads comics anymore, but think comic books, television, anime, manga, movies, music, think memes. Think about the dominant worldview in pop culture media. What do you think it is? Naturalism, Christianity, or transcendentalism? Naturalism. Good. That's exactly right. What's the second one? That's right. Distant third? Christianity. You want to hear something funny? I was on Sunday mornings, I have a few minutes in my morning. Especially if I get up before my wife gets up, and so I'll pray, have my quiet time, drink my coffee, and then I'll turn on YouTube. Don't judge me. And so I'll watch YouTube. I mean, you can judge me. You can judge me for that. But I watch a lot of commentary, right, on life. Where was I going with this? I don't even remember. It's crazy to me how much... Oh, I know. Thank you, Holy Spirit. The culture has not quite figured it out that when creators create something with a Judeo-Christian worldview, people love it. And the world hadn't figured that out yet, because it's becoming increasingly rare that a Judeo-Christian piece of art is created. We're outnumbered by the naturalist art and the transcendental art. And they do okay, they do good numbers. But then occasionally somebody will make a Judeo-Christian piece of art and people just flock to it. And then afterwards people will go, why did people like that? Can we repeat it? And they don't know how. Because they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. The most obvious answer one, of course, I'll give you a non-obvious one. People at the time did not understand why Harry Potter was as big as it was. People did not understand. Christians didn't understand it. The world didn't understand it. People tried to repeat it and they couldn't do it. I was a youth minister at the time, and I worked a lot with children. Harry Potter came out while I was in seminary, so we're talking late 90s into the early 2000s, right? Late 90s, early 2000s. I'm in my 30s, and I'm reading Harry Potter as a youth minister. Because I have families, lots and lots and lots of families reading Harry Potter. This is even before the movies. So by the time the movies were coming out, the last book was being written, right? I was there for all of that. Funny thing was, when I started reading the Harry Potter books, I started reading them to have a discernible Christian response to something that was exploding and all my families were reading. Here's what's crazy. The reason why Harry Potter, one of the main reasons why Harry Potter was so successful, is under the magic and under the board school setting and underneath all the cleverness and explosions and abracadabras, underneath all of that was an odd patina, a foundation that was way more like Judeo-Christian values than not. And as I read it, I kept thinking, because every book the writer would reinforce strong traditional Judeo-Christian values. To the point that when the books were over, I was like, yeah. Now, am I recommending you read Harry Potter? Nope. Am I recommending you watch the movies? I'm not. I'm telling you, one of the main reasons why Harry Potter was as successful as it was because under it, the foundation of it was Judeo-Christian. And the world has to deal with that. When the world comes to it and reads it and enjoys it and loves it, and all these little goth kids wanting to just, do whatever they do, they're getting a Judeo-Christian story whether they like it or not. And the response to Harry Potter has been interesting to me. Because there's a lot of people who don't like the Judeo-Christian foundation underneath it. But they love Harry Potter. So they're at war with themselves. So that's one example. Let's read these quotes. Let me read them and then you talk. To assume there is meaning in the universe is to misunderstand our cosmic insignificance. It's just self-centered and arrogant to think that there might be something that might bestow its secrets upon us if we look hard enough. The universe is indifferent to our existence, but we are not merely slaves to our genes. A meaningless universe does not mean we live our lives without purpose. I really wished he had said meaning one more time. A meaningless universe does not mean that we live our lives without meaning. He missed something there. I'm an atheist, inasmuch as that word means I don't see evidence of the need for supernature. But I try to live my life replete with purpose. Be kind, learn, discover as much as you can. Share that knowledge. Relieve suffering when you can. Have tons of fun. That's why it's not pointless. We have the power to create life and to show those lives wonder. Surely that's enough. It is for me. Dr. Adam Rutherford, geneticist and an atheist. Okay, let's hear from you. What were your thoughts about this quote on the meaning of life according to an atheist? Remember, the question is, the meaning of life.
One thing our group pointed out was that, in the second sentence, he literally talks about how it's self-centered and arrogant to kind of believe in God, right?
Right.
But at the same time, everything that he does is also very self-centered and arrogant. He says he tries to live his own life with his own purpose, which is very self-centered and stuff.
He's giving his own life meaning and purpose for himself from himself, which is one of the working definitions of selfishness and arrogance. Yeah, good. Someone else. I heard a lot of y'all talking about this. Come on, give me something. Say something.
Okay, I think it's he's contradicting of his statement saying they're beginning to assume there's meaning to universes to misunderstand and blah blah blah. When you see the universe is indifferent to our existence, okay, one minute he's saying, oh, our life is meaningless.
Right.
However, when he says a meaningless universe does not mean we live our lives without purpose. So that's very perplexing, because how one minute he says that okay, our life is meaningless, then the next second he says basically it's kind of,
I'm with you. Yeah. Very contradictory. These statements are very contradictory.
Actually, before I know Jesus, I Just like that. Exactly like
Give yourself meaning.
Yeah, that's the best I can get. So
Yeah, I agree.
it's sad, but it is like that.
Yeah, amen.
It was like
Yeah, I think that's right. We've talked about this. If an atheist were fully committed to atheism, what would they do? If an atheist were fully committed to atheism, where would their logic and rationality take them?
do whatever they like.
Do whatever you want. Now, let me give you a famous satanic quote. You ready for a famous satanic quote in Sunday school? Do what thou will shall be the whole of the law. Alistair McCrowley. Do what you want shall be all that you do. Does that not... He said that long ago, by the way. About 100 years ago. If I told you that was a Coca-Cola slogan, you wouldn't bat an eye. If I told you that that was part of your favorite television show or movie, you wouldn't bat an eye. And that's one of the world's great satanic figures. Do what thou will shall be the whole of the law. Do what you want because it's the thing you want to do. What else about this first quote? We may need to move on in the interest of time. Let me say this about the first quote. Which of the two quotes, the first one or the second one, which do you think was more honest? In other words, the person was being more honest with themselves. I didn't say which is more true. Which do you think is more honest? The person is being more honest with themselves. First one or second one? Raise your hand if you think it's the first one. Raise your hand if you think it's the second one. Yeah, I think it's the second one too. That's my opinion. I think the second guy is being a little more honest. There are so many contradictions, Stacy, to your point. So many contradictions in this first statement. To assume there's any meaning is to misunderstand. How do you know we're misunderstanding by finding meaning? What made you the objective standard for how to find meaning? You've already said there's an objective standard. There is no meaning. How would you know? It's just self-centered and arrogant. Wait a second. You're calling me self-centered and arrogant. You just defined an objective standard of meaning for the entire universe. 3, the universe is indifferent to our existence. Okay. That's an assertion, not an argument. Okay. The universe is indifferent to our existence. Seems to me planet Earth is exactly situated for life. So I'm really not going to let that go. Ask any planetary physicist what the odds are of Earth being exactly where it is, exactly how it is, for human life to exist. Doesn't seem to me that the universe is indifferent to our existence. We had a 1 in a trillion chance of that working out. But we're not merely slaves to our genes. How are you not a slave to your genes? That's all that exists. You may not be the slave you think you are, but your genes are it. Your genes are everything. So everything you do makes you a slave to them. Maybe not big S slave, maybe small s slave. But there's no God, there's no thinking power behind anything, so you're only able to live out the programming of who you are. But I try to live my life replete with purpose. Why? That's why it's not pointless. We have the power to create life. You don't. And to show those lives wonder. Sure. Okay, second one. Let's read the second one. Second one by Alam Shalah, author of the Young Atheist Handbook. Yes, of course I know that life is ultimately without meaning or purpose. Part of me wants to just stop there. Right? But the trick is not to wake up every morning and feel that way. Cognitive dissonance, embrace it. Create a sense of meaning and purpose by doing something useful with your life. I teach, being creative. I don't mean that in a poncy hipster way. I mean make a curry. Build some bookshelves, write a poem. Most importantly, find people you like and love and spend lots of time with them. I regularly have people over for dinner, throw parties for no other reason than I just want to spend time surrounded by the people I love. And if you're really stuck, eat rice and dal. Physically filling yourself with the food you love really does fill the emptiness you may feel inside. Thoughts?
I think for both of them, they seem like, from what I was saying, they both seem to have had a religious background before. I know the second guy was Muslim, grew up Muslim in Bangladesh.
Bangladeshi. We were guessing.
Oh,
We were guessing Indian, Pakistani.
so they both are.
They're both Bangladeshi?
No, one is
They're both English, right?
both British.
Yeah.
One's Indian, the other one is from Bangladeshi.
Oh, Adam Rutherford is Indian?
Yeah.
Oh, I knew they were both British.
And it looks like their religious background just failed them.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what led.
Yeah.
At least that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's valid. That's valid. Is there a larger point you would make though?
I mean, they never really gave it a chance. That's maybe what I'm getting from it.
Yeah.
And they're just,
So you and I would agree to say they didn't try Christ.
yeah.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Someone else.
Yeah, but this person is honest. Like he.
More honest than the first, right?
Yeah, and he admitted that there's the emptiness that you feel inside.
Yes.
And that's the Lord created that for him to fill in.
Many verses say so. And we know it. Many of the church fathers, church history, all of history.
Make me scared and worried because I see generation
Yes.
like son. They're little hard to enjoy the life
Yeah.
without God. That's scary.
I've said,
Scary.
I'm going to bounce off what you said, Sister Lay. Go on the internet, and anybody under 40 will tell you the worst thing to happen in the world is religion. That's just how the internet talks. Anybody under 40 will say that. Literally most people under 40 will say that. The internet hates religion of all stripes and all varieties. I've about decided that one of the ways you can discern the will of God, one of the ways you can discern truth, is to just hear what the masses are saying and then possibly consider the exact opposite of that. I've said this before, I'm going to say it bounced off your comment. I would take my chances with a person of any belief whatsoever over a person of no belief. I want you to hear me say that again. I'm way more scared, Sister Lay, to your point, I'm way more scared of 3 generations with no belief whatsoever than I am of 1,000 generations of belief of any kind. Did you hear me? Young people with no faith, no hope, no belief in anything scares me. Because there's nothing they will not do. So I think I'm having a conversation actually with the both of you. Okay. Any other comments about this? He was more honest, and I do appreciate his talk about emptiness. Is that food going to fill up that God-shaped hole in his life? No. Is exercise going to do it? Is a good ACT score going to do it? Is a good job going to do it? Is a wife going to do it? Is a husband going to do it? Is a success in this world going to do it? I almost put this quote on here, and I didn't, but I am going to say it. Tom Brady is the winningest quarterback in the NFL. He is the most successful quarterback of all time. Are you with me? You don't have to like the guy. You don't have to even know the guy. The man's got rings for every finger. Is it 5 or 6? 6? I think he has 6 Super Bowl rings. That's insane. You can be considered a Hall of Famer with no rings or 1 ring. He's got either 5 or 6. He was once asked by a reporter, by the way, he was married to a supermodel. Okay, let's not underestimate that. Married to a supermodel, multimillionaire, 6 rings. He was once asked by thank you. 7. He's like infinity gauntleting the NFL. Single-handedly. Double-handedly. There's a pun there. Tom Brady was once asked by a reporter, what does it all mean? Tom Brady replied, I don't know. The reporter asked him, are you happy? He said, not really. Reporter said, what are you going to do? How are you going to find purpose? Tom said, I don't know. By the way, since that interview, Tom left the team that got him those 7 rings. That's insanity. 7. That's insane. Tom left that team to keep playing long past the age anybody else would have retired. Went to, was it 1 or 2 more teams? I know it was 1 more.
One.
Did he go to 2 more teams? He went to the Bucks. I think he went to a second team. I'm not sure of that. Kept playing long after someone else would have retired. Lost his marriage. Do you see where this is going?
He was trying to find a meaning in playing football.
Are humans, Sister Meow, are humans good at lying to ourselves?
Yes.
Are we good at it? We do it a lot. We're really good at it. All of us. We do it. Which means it would be easy for us to create meaning for our own lives, wouldn't it? Unfulfilling all the way down. Okay, I have to make this point. So I spent a lot of time online. I spent a lot of time on lots of sites trying to, just understand worldview. I spent a lot of time doing that. AskAtheist.com made me chuckle. I have to tell you all this. It's the top 10,000 quotes by atheists by popularity. Top 10,000 quotes by atheists by popularity. The downvote button does not work. I tried. That's hilarious to me. That's hilarious to me. I just wanted to just click around and mess around with it. I started looking at quotes, spending some time with it. One would have 8,900 upvotes. It might have 300 downvotes. I just wanted to add my little downvote to a couple of them. Doesn't work. That's dishonesty, y'all. That's just dishonest. Man, if you want to stand by your quotes, stand by them. Throw them up there and just let people vote on them. Secondly, a lot of them were anonymous quotes. I don't read anonymous quotes. Come on, what are we doing? Thirdly, they had Blaise Pascal as one of the atheists. Let's read Blaise Pascal, what he actually said. Blaise Pascal was a French mathematician. Say that quickly. Blaise Pascal, French mathematician. That's a game now. Blaise Pascal, French mathematician. Blaise Pascal, French mathematician. 1600s. Blaise Pascal said, "There is a God-shaped vacuum in the heart of every man, which cannot be filled by any created thing, but only by God the Creator, made known through Jesus. Apart from Jesus Christ, we do not know what is our life, nor our death, nor God, nor ourselves." That's a pretty great quote. What he's doing on AskAtheist.com is one of the atheists of the world, one of the great atheists of the world. I do not know. Let's finish with Christ. What are we to make of what Christianity says about the meaning of life? What does Christianity say about the meaning of life? Y'all talk to me. Say it again, Caleb, really loud. Love God, love people. Can you flesh that out a little bit? How did you get that from your study? That's exactly the right answer, by the way.
It was in Mark 12. Jesus basically talking about how they asked him what are the greatest commandments, and Jesus referenced the
Shema, Deuteronomy 6.
And then he said the second greatest commandment is to love your neighbors.
So what you're saying is the Christian response to the meaning of life, part of it you're saying is to love God, love people. Jesus said that in Mark 12, 29 through 31. And then also you were getting that from the John 8 passage?
Yeah.
How were you seeing it lived out in the John 8 passage?
It's not so much so, because God said He doesn't desire sacrifice; He desires mercy. And so in that.
What passage is that, Caleb? It's one of the prophets, isn't it?
Yeah, probably something like that. But the thing is, in this passage, instead of abiding by literally abiding by the law of Moses, Jesus desired more desired to show mercy to the woman than to have her killed.
Is mercy part of living out the Christian ideal for the meaning of life? Caleb says yes. You see a lot of mercy among your atheist friends. This is what I want. I got to jump back to my atheist friends for a minute. I want y'all to hear this desperately. Adam, you and I've talked about this quite a bit. Again, people under 40, people who are online with their entire lives. If you want to have a little bit of fun, go on any kind of Reddit or web page or, anywhere. Go on TikTok and just look a famous person up. Within seconds, and it can be about anything, it doesn't have to be about anything, but just pick a famous person. The one for me right now, which is funny, is The Rock, because The Rock doesn't really do anything that makes me have a strong opinion about him one way or the other. That's kind of his deal. But within seconds, you can put any famous person in, and within seconds, people under 40 are swarming the page talking about, he did this wrong, he's this, he's that. They have no grace. They have long memories and no mercy. Are you listening to me? Because naturalism doesn't have mercy in it. Naturalism says, eat the young. Naturalism says, survive. The fittest survive. How do the fittest survive? They kill and eat everything else. I'm telling you. What you believe matters. And there is no meaning to life if you believe there's no meaning to life. And these two guys struggled hard to come up with a meaning. Jesus says, love God, love people. Show mercy while you're at it. Be gracious. Be kind. The Hebrew word is chesed. H-E-S-S-E-D. Chesed. Which means literally loving kindness. It's all through the Bible. Loving kindness. Somebody close for us. Anything else there that we would say about Christianity with the worldview? We're almost done. Any final thoughts or questions or comments? Any final comments or questions about the meaning of life as it relates to Christianity?
And then with John 10:10, I got that basically there's redemption and life to live more abundantly through Christ Jesus. That's what I got.
Jesus said, I've come that you may have life and have it abundantly, or have it to the full life. I will close with this. I'm kind of sad. Well, I won't close with that. I just found out one of my favorite quotes by a Christian was actually written by a movie producer. It didn't actually come from the mouth of a Christian. That's what happens when you get your theology from movies. This movie came out in the 80s, so I won't use that. I'll tell you later. I'm sad, Sister May. I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I'll tell you now. It's Chariots of Fire. Chariots of Fire. It's such a great quote. I'm so sad. Eric Liddell did not actually say, when I run, I feel God's pleasure. He did not actually say that. I sure wish that he had. For decades, I've been saying that he did. I found out recently that was a created line put in the actor's mouth. The person who burst my 2-decade bubble on that did make a greater point. You know what Eric Liddell did say? And he literally did say this. I was made for China. I was made for China. You know his story. He went to China and gave his life to the Lord. Or he gave his life long before then. I'm saying he literally gave up his life for the Lord in China. Sister Mel, here's what's funny. It's actually a better story, but it just makes me sad because I lost a beautiful bit of art. What's the meaning of life? I'm going to close with this. In the Scriptures, there was a Gentile, a man of power, a man of wealth, a man of position, who was not religious. Did you hear everything I just said? In the Scriptures, and specifically in the Gospels, there was a Gentile, man of power, position, wealth, privilege, etc., who asked two of the greatest questions of all time that anyone has ever asked in all of humanity. What were they? Number one, what is truth? This man asked, what is truth? What is truth? What is truth? What is truth? With your human life, you only get the one. With your human life, I challenge you to ask that question. And I don't mind telling you this, Sunday school class. It's what I taught my 3 children, and I tell you today. Question even everything that I say. And if you're human, you're probably even going to question some of what this says. Some of you won't. Some of you will outright reject it. But here's how much I trust the Bible. Here's how much I trust the Bible. Read it anyway. Read it. Read it. Read it. Read it. Read it. Because I trust God that it's going to be good for you. What is truth? That was the first question. What is truth? What is truth, this man asked. Second question that he asked, who is Jesus? Literally, who are you? Who are you? Some of you know who I'm talking about. It doesn't matter who I'm talking about. His name was Pilate. What matters is that you ask those 2 questions. What matters is that I believe with all my heart that every human should ask the 2 questions. What is truth and who is Jesus? And here's what this book says, by the way. Jesus is truth and truth is Jesus. The answer to both is the same. I believe that with all my heart. So you're going to have to struggle to find out the meaning of life. Solomon did too. It ain't easy. It's difficult. Most people are lazy. That's also true. Most people, in fact, are so lazy they would rather look to the person to the left of them and say, what do you think, than think for themselves. Most people would rather look to the person to the right of them and say, what do you feel about that? What do you think about that? What are you going to do? Rather than live life themselves.